Mr. Chapman, he's born in Boston, has an MA, and he's from attending Northeastern University, majoring in business management. He spent 3 years in the United States military, counterintelligence, most in Europe. He speaks German, French, and is conversant in Spanish. Oh, yes, sir. Yes. That is awesome. You took good care of yourself. What are you doing these days? And we'll go from there.
These days, I write and do a radio program. I do about 25 to 30 hours a week on the radio, and I publish 2 publications a week that run usually 40 to 50 pages each.
Yes, indeed. You are very articulate and letting people know what's going on. I appreciate you coming on the show. You are a wonderful guest, and I appreciate you a lot, especially on Alex Jones. I mean, I'm just mesmerized at the quality of information that you give out. Let's start with the economy and go from there. I just want to go ahead and get to the point of why and when do you think the markets will, and if you think the markets will collapse in the not too distant future?
Well, I think the most important thing is to try to understand, and I know it's difficult for people, that what you're experiencing economically and financially, not only in the United States but throughout the world, is not by chance. It's not because of incompetence. It's because it's been planned that way.
Yeah.
And if you can accept that, and some people will find it very difficult to accept, and it's nothing new. These sort of things have been going on for many years. But if you can accept that, you sprung yourself from the box and you're outside the box and you're thinking independently. You're not sitting back and believing all of the things that you've been told for perhaps the last 100 years or more. And so if you can do that, then you have an opportunity to learn what's really going on. I spent several years in Army counterintelligence in the early 1950s, and it was a very educational experience. I was thrown in with probably some of the finest minds in the country. Some of the people reached great heights in their fields, and my mind was open. But one of the things that I found that really disturbed me, we were spying on the Russians and the East Germans and the Poles and all of the Soviet bloc countries. The thing that really got me was that when I first went in, I found out that the Japanese diplomatic code had been broken in 1937, and the German codes were broken in 1938, and that the United States government knew that the Japanese were going to attack Pearl Harbor, so they lined the ships up so they could do it.
Yeah.
And, as I look back, I found that my whole attitude as a very intelligent, streetwise kid that came from a poor family was having a whole new world open up to them that heretofore they never dreamed existed. The government did things that they shouldn't have done. And so that was the beginning of my real education. And the evolutionary process through the years has made me understand that there are evil forces behind all governments that are coordinated, and people do things that satisfy them and not the populace or the people of any particular country. And so with that said, the economy today has been damaged deliberately, and we have just gone through, since probably 1988, a very difficult time. In 1990-92, the Federal Reserve and the government had the opportunity to fix the system. They refused to do it. They cranked up the economy in the mid-1990s, and of course we had the dot-com boom, and what happened after that was that we had a crash. And fortunately, for the last 20 years, I've been right 98% of the time, and we got everybody out of the market in the second week of April, which was only 3 or 4 weeks after the top of the market. That was followed by the entry into gold and silver related assets, and which is one of my specialties for over 50 years. At one time I was the largest gold silver stockbroker in the world. And so we've been in that venue since, which is the antithesis of what is going on. And so what they're doing is they're trying to bring the world economy down to a relatively soft landing. They're having a very difficult time doing it. Who are they? And those are the people who belong to the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderberger Group, the Illuminati, people who are connected throughout the world with one another, and they're Luciferian in nature. And these people continue to try to bring us forward to the time when essentially they're going to pull the plug economically and financially. Wow. And so that's the situation we're at. Now, just recently, I made a call, which nobody else did actually, that the market was going to be taken up, and the reason why was there was going to be another quantitative easing. And I was right. And what is that going to end up doing? It's going to end up creating terrible inflation, and maybe they'll even do it again. I don't know. We won't know until we get there. But we're going to have some very difficult inflation. We have high inflation now, but the governments lie about those things. And so, to get to your question, the stock market is being levitated and elevated by 3 elements. Number one, the major corporations are doing well because they fired half their people and they have access to pretty cheap money. Number two, we have a group called the Working Group in Financial Markets, which manipulates all markets in the world 24/7. And number three, we have an underlying terrible world unemployment problem, and it's getting worse. And it's really not going to improve very much, even if $5 trillion additional dollars is poured onto the economy over the next 2 years, like $2.5 trillion was the previous 2 years. And so this is generally where we're headed. Sooner or later, the stock market will go down, interest rates will go up, and the U.S. will not be able to fund its debt, and they will have to monetize their debt by having the Federal Reserve buy U.S. debt, which they're doing already and have been for a long time. And in that monetization process cause more inflation.
Yeah, it seems like they're digging a hole, and they someone asks them, how are you going to get out that hole? I'm going to keep digging. It's almost laughable. But the thing is, a lot of those people who stay in office, they want to stay in office, so they're trying to cure the problem, not thinking that they're gonna leave the problem for another generation and the next administration. They continue to dig the hole deeper and deeper and deeper by trying to solve the problem with the very thing that got us in the problem in the first place, which is leverage and debt. What happened on, I think it was in May, the market crashed about 1,000 points. What was the deal with that? And then
do you mean recently from 11,200 to 9,600?
Yeah. Well, what happened is that one day, in about 15 minutes, the market dropped 1,000 points. What was the deal with that?
The deal with that was that in the market today, 72% of the trades are made via algorithms, black boxes.
Yeah.
And so there's very few people independently in the market, because if you add on the institutions, market participation by individual investors is only about 8%. So what they did is they used an algorithmic program, and it went wild. It simply went wild and took the market down that way.
Wow. That's crazy. The war that we've been sort of pushed into with Iran seems like a military buildup. It seems obvious that something's going to happen pretty soon. Is that war particularly, in your eyes, is it going to happen? And is it President Obama's way of trying to get out of the mess that he is in?
Well, first of all, the President of the United States, the person who's legally unqualified to be president, doesn't make any decisions whatsoever. They're all made for him. And that's the truth of every president for a long time.
Yes.
And he, through the people who speak for him,